You guys, I started this show for people like this. I'm not going to introduce you yet because I want everyone to know some things about you.
Okay.
At the age of 8, got your first starring role in the classic film Paper Moon.
That's right.
Opposite your movie star father, Ryan O'Neal.
Yes.
2 years later, at the age of 10, became the youngest Oscar winner in Academy Award history.
That's right.
Oh my God, it's huge. And a couple years after Paper Moon, 1976, became the highest paid child actress of all time for the classic film Bad News Bears. That same year, you were named Female Star of the Year by the National Association of
And
Theater
Dustin
Owners.
Hoffman and I won that award together. It's the NATO award.
Amazing.
So he
Wait.
wrote my speech. Yeah.
Okay. Then you starred in International Velvet, the sequel to National Velvet, opposite Christopher Plummer and Anthony Hopkins, whose names appeared below yours on the poster. I think it's important to say.
Oh my gosh.
Mhm.
And I had the best time learning how to ride on that.
1980, starred in the sexually edgy, now cult classic Little Darlings. Oh, also played Richard Burton's lover, girlfriend.
Kind of.
Weird.
In a kind of movie a lot of people
Circle
saw it.
2, 1981.
Circle 2, right? With Jules Dessange.
Became friends with Cher, basically, by stalking her. We'll get to that.
No, I was on her show.
Okay. According to Michael Jackson, was his first girlfriend. We'll talk about that maybe. Then it gets a little intense because at 15, you were left to raise your brother when your dad famously moved in with girlfriend Farrah Fawcett.
That was in my book, yeah.
Yes. At 20, married tennis legend John McEnroe, with whom you have 3 gorgeous, lovely
22, I think we were married. 20,
okay.
I started dating him.
She's appeared on Sex and the City, Dancing with the Stars, played Dennis Leary's sister on 39 episodes of Rescue Me, and judged season 2 of RuPaul's Drag Race. Has penned 2 books, one of which debuted at number 4 on the bestseller list.
That's true.
And has been interviewed by Johnny Carson, Barbara Walters, Larry King, Oprah Winfrey, and Justin Root? I mean, please welcome Academy Award winner Tatum O'Neal. Thank you so much for coming here.
What an intro.
I know, right? And I wanted to do it fast.
What an intro. I love it.
I don't even know where to begin, but I do, because I want to know about your name. This is one thing that your name, they'll never be able to take away from your name. And that is the moniker that'll, come before it all the time. Academy Award.
Right.
I mean, is that a burden? Is it a curse?
No. It's nothing but an honor. Yeah. I feel so honored to have it,
Do you remember anything about that night, or is it mostly pictures and video that you've seen that you've kind of...
No, I remember. I remember
4 memories? You were 10!
I remember sitting there. I remember being very bored. I was with my grandparents. My dad was still shooting Barry Lyndon. We had rehearsed going on stage. I wore these high heels, and I wanted to wear my dad was dating Bianca Jagger at the time, and I loved her Yves Saint Laurent suits, so I had Nolan Miller make this suit for me, and underneath you couldn't see that I had these gigantic satin platforms like size 4.5. There was a streaker that year.
Not only was there a streaker, the Sting won Best Picture. It was Katharine Hepburn's only appearance. Did you know that?
I didn't.
Did you see her? Do you remember?
I don't. No.
If you could go back to that night, would you do anything different?
I'd bring my dad.
Really? Wow. So he didn't go, though, because of
Stanley,
shooting,
because
right?
of Stanley, yeah.
Do you think if you were in town, he would have gone?
Of course.
Because I heard that he wasn't that excited that you got nominated.
Well, I don't know if he is or not anymore. We've lost so much touch at this point, but it did seem to change our relationship.
Yeah.
Don't cry.
No crying. This isn't Oprah. All right, I have to ask you, where is it? And if you don't say it's in your purse and pull it out right now...
It's not in my purse.
You don't just take it to Starbucks and when they say what's your name and you just put it on... Why
Oscar.
I would.
Let's see. It's on my counter with the other awards, with pictures of my kids.
Because you have a Golden Globe too.
I do.
That's important.
Which is very
Everyone
important
should know.
to me. Yeah.
And your NATO award.
I don't think, and Donatello, which is an Italian Oscar.
Oh, for
Paper Moon.
Oh, nice.
Right, and I went to Italy with my dad for that.
Did you have fun shooting it?
Yeah, Paper Moon. Oh yeah, it was a lot of hard work.
Yeah.
I remember that I knew what I thought you did was you sat on stools saying lines to each other, and then that kind of of course was not the case. And at one point where we were supposed to say I love you to each other, and I was like, I can't say that. And he was like, why? And I was like, I don't know. She just wouldn't say it. Wow. So funny, and they didn't end up using that.
You have the record for not only being the youngest Academy Award winner, you have the most on-screen time for a supporting
That's right. And the most dialogue.
And the most dialogue.
Right. When I didn't know that, my son Sean actually told me that.
That's
so
pretty
sweet.
fantastic.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Do you have any memories of Madeline Kahn? Madeline Kahn?
Of course, I loved Madeline. And I think I was up against her.
You were in the same category.
Which sucked. You don't want to be up against your co-star. I think, she tolerated me. I think that I was a little wild.
On set, too?
Yeah. Well, I wanted to be with everybody all the time, and I was usually mic'd up, so I'd take off my mics, and my dad was really patient, which you can see in the movie. You can see that.
That's good, because they always say child actors and animals are, like, the worst.
Right, and, there were no rules, really, when I did that. There were no, on-set people, and I, which was great for me, because I hated doing all that schooling and stuff.
Yeah. So you and Madeline... Both nominated in the same category. Did she give you any tips or anything?
No, we didn't talk really.
Did you even see her at the Oscars or anything like that? Just you kept it real
You're
professional.
You're the only person that's ever even asked. I didn't even really know that I was up against her.
Really? And Linda Blair. Do you guys ever run into each other?
We've met each other a few times, but we never really met each other. I was with my grandparents, so I was sort of at the whim of wherever they went. And I was an awkward little thing.
Bad News Bears.
Yes. I remember that.
You do?
Sure.
Yeah. Walter Matthau. He said he was kind of like a father figure to you.
Like more of a, just like a special older person, not necessarily like a father.
No.
We weren't close enough for him to be like a father. But he was definitely in my life.
After the movie, too?
Yeah.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
You had so many amazing people around you.
Yeah.
So many amazing people.
Yeah.
Cher was a friend, right?
Yes,
There's
a friend.
all these pictures of you, getting into her car on Sunset Boulevard.
Yeah, she had that Dino. Well, I didn't want to leave. I did her show, and I think I wasn't probably as happy as I wanted to be at my house. I didn't realize how unhappy until I moved into her house.
You and John McEnroe double dated with Madonna and Sean, right? I mean, that's incredible.
That was fun, yeah. I loved her, by the way. There were certain women over the time that I've sort of modeled myself after and, in different ways. She definitely was inspiring.
And she got you into, the whole physical regimen, right?
She sure did, yeah, until I broke both my knees and kind of couldn't run anymore. But definitely it also said, maybe you're not that happy with your husband. And
really?
No one had ever said that. And sort of John, I remember hating her.
Wow.
But she said, why are you with him? And I was like, I hadn't thought about that.
Amazing.
Do I have a choice?
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, but she was different than any of these women that my dad had dated, these sort of amazing women, which he had dated throughout my life. None of them had been physical, like Madonna, strong physically. You didn't want to seem that ambitious.
Yeah.
You kind of wanted to just
it was a different time.
Right, so she brought in this whole new thing where you could kind of be this aggressive type, almost manly. Not manly, but sort of aggressive in your ambition.
Dominant.
Yeah. There's a better word. Right?
Wow.
So yeah, I loved her, but then she retired me.
Little Darlings.
Little Darlings.
Okay. One of my personal favorites.
Okay.
I absolutely love it.
It should come out on DVD. I don't know why it won't.
Maybe that has something to do with the fact that a movie like that probably couldn't get made today. I mean, two girls racing to lose her virginity at the age of 13, 14?
I think we were 15.
There's no way a movie would do that today. No way.
I know, there are a lot of rules now.
That was an edgy movie back then.
So was Bad News Bears.
Little Cynthia Nixon was in it.
I know. Look at her. She's had a great career.
Did you ever run into her? Well, you were on Sex and the City.
Yeah, so I saw her then. She was great. Yeah.
Did you talk? And
sure. I think,
You're not like me. You just are professional. You go. And...
Well, right. I mean, what was I going to... I just was like, it's good to see you. And she was like, it's good to see you.
I love it.
And she's, doing great. She was making so much money and happy and came out and go her.
Well, speaking of coming out, I mean, it was some lesbian undertones on there. And Christy McNichol came out later. And,
did she ever come out?
I mean, did she have to?
I don't know, does Anderson Cooper have to?
Exactly.
But I had met Anderson because I thought it was really cute back years ago in early 2004, and we had lunch. And he's like, oh, Tatum O'Neal, you don't know that? And I was like, no, I didn't know that. And he's like,
wait, were you going out with Anderson thinking there might be a...
Oh, yeah. I all the girls, I think, thought that there was a chance, but he was very upfront with me and amazing.
We kind of touched on Circle 2 in the beginning, Richard Burton. I mean, any idea who that was when you were working with him?
Well,
can you grasp it, though?
Yeah, that I totally grasped. I was 15, and he used, my middle name is Beatrice, so he used to say, Tatum. My Dante, I'm your Dante to your Beatrice. You're among the most enchanting, divine little creatures I've ever seen. Come and talk to Richard. You know, he was so amazing. He knew so many poems by heart and was so well read and so smart and so great working with him and learning and like just seeing what a master he was at acting. And I didn't realize about alcoholism particularly, but I knew he wasn't allowed to drink hard liquor. So he drank a lot of wine. I would sort of drink as much as I could. Nobody seemed to be watching.
At 15, and as much as you could.
As much as I could, which is not very much. One day, I got a call in the hotel, and they said, "Oh, Richard wants to see you." And so I went up to Richard's room, and I remember I said, he used to say, "Tatum, you're among the most enchanting, divine little creatures." And this time he goes, "Tatum, you're among the most enchanting, divine little cunts. Come here and sit on Richard's lap. Sit on Richard's dick," or something like that. And I was like, no, what have you been drinking? And clearly he had gotten into the scotch or something. And the woman who was like my Leo guardian was like, I went, Diane, you've got to come get me. Richard's going crazy.
Oh.
He got into the hard liquor.
Oh.
And then he ended up dying like right soon after that.
Really?
And I was upset because I didn't go to his funeral.
You didn't?
No, but I knew exactly who he was. I loved him.
You've worked with some incredible people. Some incredible people.
Incredible actors.
Do you feel respected?
By Hollywood?
Yeah.
No.
Really?
No.
Academy Award winner, and you don't feel respected?
No. I think the business has changed so much, and I respect myself, and that's all that matters. And I know who I am, and I know what I've done. The industry has changed so much. It's become an industry of finance, where it was, when I came around, it was an industry of great films and of great art. And people cared about that. And now I don't think anybody really cares much. The great stuff is being done on cable and stuff. But, I mean, there are little great films. But if you notice, it seems to all be about, superheroes. And I don't know that this town respects anybody, particularly.
Well, whoever's hot, whoever can make money, whoever's current,
Right. Yeah, they respect the 10 minutes.
Of course.
Whoever's like sort of in the eye for 10 minutes. And now it's like gotten so... But I don't care about that stuff. I have a personal reason for continuing to do this job of acting and stuff, and it has nothing to do with fame or money or any of that. It has to do with that, I feel like I was born good at something, and that my own things that happened in my own personal life around me with my upbringing did something to hurt that instrument of mine, and it's been my goal to repair whatever that is and fix it, and it's gotten better and better over the years, but it's taken a long time because I got really hurt at some point. I'm not exactly sure when, but at some point I got really hurt, and it really disturbed the little actor person. And so my thing was, it's like, if you fall off course, you got to get back on.
You've lived your life very publicly. Very publicly, and you kind of left film for a little bit to
get married and have a life. And I think that's important also to be able to draw in your acting and have a life, or else what are you drawing from?
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like, I needed to understand. I also needed to make a foundation. I needed to find out why I was. It wasn't enough that I had done these films and stuff. I needed to be grounded. I wasn't terribly grounded at around 17 and 18. I needed to sort of find a reason to ground myself, and having Kevin, Sean, and Emily really did that.
The O'Neals are, you guys are like tabloid fodder. You guys are...
They wanted there was like that, remember when there was that True Hollywood thing?
Yeah.
And ours was like the 2-hour version. Somebody laughed and they made a joke. They were like, yours is the 2-hour version. Yeah, those O'Neals, they're crazy.
Well, let me ask you, all the drug addiction and all the crazy stuff that we saw in the press and everything that, you had to tell Barbara Walters, and you kind of became known as just somebody who was more living their life publicly for the off-screen antics than you were for your career.
That's from an outsider's point of view, I suppose.
Well, you weren't making movies, though. You weren't...
No, I wasn't working.
Yeah, so the only thing that anyone had to go on or everything...
was my private sort of falling apart. Yeah, I guess.
And, that was during a time, though, where you could be private. Nowadays, you can't get away with anything. There are cameras everywhere.
Can you imagine if I had gone through that?
I mean, you must have gotten away with so much, right? Like, you're...
Yeah, I don't know about getting away with anything, really, because I had my own personal problems throughout. But it's funny when I think about it, because Barbara Walters did like a public intervention because no one was really asking I was sort of just going down the tubes. You know, had she not sort of pulled me out to do that interview, I might be dead. I don't know. So wow. I sort of thank her.
Really?
I should write her a note, actually.
She's watching if there's anything you want to say.
I love her. She was great. Because I wasn't doing well, and I sort of made it through that interview, but I wasn't. You know, I was dying pretty much. I'm glad to be alive, and I'm glad that I made it through, and I'm glad I fought to get my kids back. And it was so much about winning and losing for my ex-husband, who really saw it as a loss, me leaving our marriage. And what happened after our marriage, I could never have imagined. I probably wouldn't have left had I known what he was going to do.
Do you and John talk today at all?
No. He hates me. Like, I get these Irish guys just end up hating me. I'm a big survivor, and you know, if an Irishman, and I don't know about this is true for all Irishmen, but if they feel like they sort of own you, you can't leave. Sort of that's what happened with my dad, and that's what happened with John. Like, you know, they're going to punish me till I die. I feel like. I don't know why. It's so fucked up.
Fuck the Irish.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I love Irish people. But these two guys, like, just really... And I suppose they're both had this huge success and stuff and were used to people leaving. But, you know, John was still playing, was just such a... You know, he was a different husband to this wife than he ever was. I mean, that's what the kids say.
Yeah. And being older now, do you look back and do you think...
I'm going to cry.
Oh, my God. Oh, I don't want to make you cry.
I don't. It's just good, even because it means I'm emotionally connected. No, I'm glad I did that with those kids because that was a huge deal for us. It changed all of our lives, and I got them back. And that was the biggest loss of my life because they're the biggest, you know, better than any award or any of your beautiful memorabilia here. You know, was it for me? That was my biggest success. They are my biggest success. So.
And I 100% believe you when you say that. You just light up.
Well, it's true. You talk about them. Yeah, it's totally true. And, you know, so I was just glad without any sort of support in my family that I could know how to fight back and I remember once Sue saying to me years and years ago, she said, Tatum, Sue Mengers.
Sue Mengers, your very, very iconic
famous agent. And she goes, she was the top. Wait, how did she go?
Did you see Bette Midler play her in the one?
Of course. And she said my name in it twice. I saw it twice. And she said, I only like Tatum because she had an Academy Award, you know. She was a cute little starlet. She wasn't that cute, but I didn't like. She called them. What did she call kids?
Cunts? No, that was Richard Burton.
No, little cunt, come over here. No, Tatum, your hair needs to be blonder. She would smoke her jettings, but she once said to me, honey, if you would have been walking down Hollywood Boulevard and a needle sticking out of your arm, I would have understood with your life. And I knew what she meant. You know, it was no parenting at home. You know, like it was free for all. Griffin was out getting drugs for my dad. Like, it was just crazy.
Your dad actually sent his kids out to get drugs.
Right. And he came home a lot of times with the police, you know. So it never really went the way my dad wanted it to go. And he was like too little to be driving. And there was violence. It was a violent household. It was crazy. And my dad has no sort of memory of that. So, you know, I sort of understand how we all kind of, I understand my own, you asked me earlier if I forgave myself for, you know, for having a public sort of, or private meltdown, if you will. Totally. I mean, I wish I hadn't done it. I wish it hadn't happened. Super glad to be alive because I really tried to take myself out in a really severe way with drugs and stuff. But, you know, I'm just glad that I had that fight in me. And I often say to the kids, like, Daddy didn't know what he was dealing with. Like, I'm a cockroach. I just don't fucking die. So don't fuck with me. All right? McEnroe and fucking O'Neal. Don't fucking fuck with me. Like, I will fight. I will fucking fight. And I did. Like, I did whatever I had to do.
You know, okay, forget John McEnroe. Okay. Marriage in general. If you were to get married tomorrow, in a year, whatever, or advice to anyone who is about to get married or who is about to go into, you know, this union, what would you say? What would you do now? What would you do differently? Having
sort of a sense of yourself is important when you get married, I think, because if you don't, you can kind of lose yourself. And I think I was so young and I was still trying to figure out who I was because I'd had this outside vision of myself, but I hadn't really grown into who I wanted to be. And I liked the idea of being a wife, although I didn't think that John particularly treated me with that much respect. That I knew, but I wasn't sure kind of how to fix it. If you're 22, you're not going to be able to know what you need to know. But now I want to partner with somebody. I want to have a future and a life and have shared goals and shared dreams. But I've taken a great deal of time the last 2 decades to kind of figure that out and work on that. And not everybody has that much time.
Yeah. Have you ever seen Postcards from the Edge?
Yeah.
That reminds me of you and your dad. Instead of the mother-daughter relationship, it's the father-daughter
Well, I was sort of, I realized,
very similar.
I realized I was my dad's wingman. And then I was his wingman until I wasn't fun to be his wingman when I had puberty. And then he didn't really know what to do with me, so he just dumped me with my brother.
Amazing.
Well, he says, I should have understood that he fell in love, and I should have supported that.
And when you say in love, we're talking about Farrah, obviously.
Right.
Farrah Fawcett, who's on my t-shirt.
Yeah, she was quite beautiful.
Well, okay, so let's gloss over this real quickly, because I know you've talked about it, and it's not necessary to, dredge all this up, but she was an icon. She was huge. The height of her game.
Right.
Could you even watch Charlie's Angels? You probably couldn't.
Well, I remember before he met her, I was a big fan of hers, too, before he even met her, and I remember my dad making fun of me, because I came in one day, and my dad, I had, done my hair, I was, 14 or 15, and he goes, who do you think you are, Farrah Fawcett? And I was like, I'm trying. And then, of course, he ends up with her. It was very shocking that he was with someone of her stature. He ended up meeting her because I was doing that film with Richard Burton in Toronto. I was walking down the street with my uncle, and my dad was up in the room. He was visiting, and I go, there's Lee Majors. And Lee stopped, and we ended up talking. And my dad and Lee talked, and then they ended up becoming friends again. They knew each other from the 60s, and then supposedly my dad sort of stole Farrah away from me.
Yeah, supposedly he did.
He did.
And it was
kind of drama.
And it was...
right, because Lee said, take care of Farrah, and my dad was like, got it.
Got it. Oh, I'll take care of her.
Yeah, and he sure did.
Take care, he did.
And by the way, and I have respect for Farrah, of course.
Extremities. Yeah. How amazing was Extremities?
Yeah, she was great in that.
She was a
really good actress. Really good.
Yeah.
For sure. You can imagine me, being in her house, and she had one hallway that was every cover she'd ever been on. And I'm 16 years old going how can I ever be this is just too much. She's just too beautiful. And nice and everything. But
was she nice?
Yeah, she was nice. She was sweet. She's sweet. Yeah.
Do you have any memory of hair tips or how to put your makeup on, or did she do anything motherly at all? Any advice? Or
I usually gave her advice, funny enough.
Really? Because you're a grown woman now, do you look back and, sure, you're 13, 14, 15, Farrah comes in and it's just dad's new girl, blah, 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 blah. But is there any part of you as a woman now that looks and thinks wow, I wish I could have had a conversation with her. I wish I could go back and...
Well, I did have a conversation with her before she died, where I went to her house. Oh, yeah.
So you guys kind of patched things up?
Yes. I mean, there was never a fight. It was just...
She was this burden. She was a burden that came in.
No, she wasn't a burden. No. Well, of course, we wanted a family. Yeah. Me and my brother. We wanted a family. We wanted him to marry someone where we could all live together, and maybe someone that would help take care of us a little bit. And that's not what happened. So, I respect and understand that Farrah, my dad is a really powerful person, and that she got really, taken with him. And that I understand and respect. I don't think that she was ever going to be the kind of person that wanted to build a family, but my father didn't want that either. So I don't know that because I'm much more maternal than Farrah ever was, I think. I do understand how it was probably overwhelming for her to kind of take on two kind of wild kids,
And she had her own. She with your dad
later,
right?
Much later. Yeah.
And is anything you want?
I love him. He's okay today, as far as I know. We want him to live. He is extremely wonderful, lovely, great, sweet, handsome boy, Redmond, and I just pray for him every day. Yeah. I want him to survive.
And speaking of that day when Farrah died, not only did she die, Michael Jackson. You had to be the saddest person in the world that day. I mean, two important people of your life in one day.
Yeah, that was sad. I think it was sad for my dad too, because it took away a lot of, the time that the press would spend on Farrah.
Yeah.
I know. I was so sad the way Michael died.
Well, speaking of, I mean, you guys, he claims you were his first girlfriend. You know I'm going to ask. Did you?
Well, he said I kind of made out with him once.
Is that all you did?
I thought that, oh yeah.
Okay.
I think he made out with me, but he says I made out with him. It was a kiss. He was nervous. He didn't feel comfortable sitting on my bed in my older house.
I heard that he wanted to go out and just kind of be normal and not have everyone mob him, so he went in disguise. Because there's this picture of you where he's like almost in blackface.
Well, we were going to a Commodores concert, and he would put on blackface, just be out in public.
Did it work? And people didn't recognize
People didn't recognize
But were they recognizing you?
Nobody recognized me then at that thing. But we stayed sort of private. The saddest thing that happened for me and Michael was that he had asked me to go to the Wiz premiere. I thought, sure. I was about, 13, 14. My dad wasn't around, so I asked Sue. And she said, no, you can't go. And that really upset him. And he never really was the same to me after that. And I felt terrible. So that broke his heart, broke my heart. And I could never really get him back after that.
Because people are going to want to know. Where are you and your dad today?
Nowhere.
Nowhere? You don't talk?
No
relationship?
No, I sadly sort of try to reach out to him and stuff, and he has no interest at all.
Is it true he really hit on you at Farrah's funeral?
No, I didn't hit on me. He just was like, hey, you live around here? And I was like,
do you have sunglasses on or something?
No.
How did you not know it was you? Wow.
I know. Listen, I wish my mother had lived longer, and I would have had a way better relationship with her now, but she's looking out for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, it was definitely a tough life, so you're definitely getting into the tougher parts of my life.
No, it's true. And, I'm more concerned with who you are now and what you're doing now, and I want to talk about today.
I don't regret anything. It is all my life. I sort of wish I had never been arrested, by the way, but... my son Sean's like, yeah, but it got global news, Mom, even when I was in Paris. And I was like, still, okay, it's embarrassing. It was awful. And you guys were in high school and it was embarrassing. But we can all laugh about it. But if you can avoid it too, I don't recommend it. I've learned a lot about myself. And so, I'm proud of myself. I'm in a really good place.
It's just like you're a maze, and and you hit one wall, and it's just more exciting than the next, and then the next, and then the next, and then you break down another. It has been public, and that's the only reason I would ask any of these kinds of questions.
Okay, that's true. I know,
because I'm not going to,
No, it's fine. I mean, I think it's an important topic now.
Because everyone knows too.
No, because America is in a crisis.
Yeah.
And that's real.
Yeah.
And so, they asked me to do CNN to talk about drugs and stuff, and I don't want to be really related anymore because, younger people don't know that I had this big drug problem in the 90s or what. It's not something we shouldn't be ashamed of. Mm-hmm. And we need to forgive ourselves. And it's a disease. And my mother had it. My father has some of it. My grandparents, it's hereditary. So for all the people that punish people who are addicts and look down on them, I say shame on you because it hits the best of people and it hits the worst of people.
And the truth is, you're living it publicly, and you're the one going through it. But what you might lose sight of is that there is somebody out there who is hearing your story, who's reading all of this, and you're saving their life.
Well, that's
or
true.
At least letting them know you're not alone.
Well, that happened with my book a lot, my first book. People were really, really helped. The fact that I was so honest, and, I got so many beautiful letters from people saying that it really helped them, especially women and women who are mothers, because there's so much shame around addiction and motherhood. Is
it kind of a burden, though, to take on a role model role when you've gone through recovery and you've got all these people probably wanting to, I don't know what it's like when you're out in public. Does someone come up and tell their horrible story and tell you
I don't mind all that.
You don't?
No, because I relate.
Yeah.
So it's not a horrible story to me. To me, it's like, oh, I relate. You know what I mean? It's something that is it's applicable to me. So through social media, I'll get, people that'll reach out. And luckily, knock on wood again, that my kids are all good and aren't struggling with that. I had one who struggled a little bit, and he's doing really good right now, my oldest. And I think that we need to get rid of the shame around it. Yeah. It's like having, being on dialysis or whatever. It's just like having
any other disease.
Right, yeah. Right. So, but I still think there is a lot of shame around it. Yeah. Especially in Hollywood, especially as a woman, And there hasn't been a lot of women who have come back from something like I went through and really made it. So I want to be that woman.
Well, that's what I want to ask you because, getting back into the game and acting again and getting your career going, is it hard to shed it? Like when you go into meetings and talk to producers, do they bring it up?
No, they don't bring it up. But I think the only way for me to shed that, because Hollywood doesn't forgive you, is I have to go in and do the meetings and they have to see me in person. And then I switch the narrative. Because I think people's narrative is wrong with me. They don't know what I'm like. So they don't know that I'm funny. They don't, so they have an idea, but the idea is completely off from what I am. So I always go in and change it. And then they're like, oh. But it's been, definitely coming back has been a bit of a struggle. But, like I said, I'm like, give me a challenge. I'll fight for it.
Yeah. How's it going breaking back into it?
It's definitely been a struggle. And there's been good stuff and bad stuff. And, Kevin, my oldest son, thinks that I did better when I lived in New York. And then I am a bad auditioner.
Are you really?
I'm getting better, but I really blow a lot of work because I go in there and you would never know that I have an Academy Award. So my son wanted to write this show for me. By the way, I'm doing a podcast coming up.
Oh, nice. What's it called?
It's called Tatum Verbatim.
I love it. Wait, you doing it by yourself?
Yeah.
Amazing.
Well, my daughter's going to do it with me. So my son was like, he wanted to do this, have me do a TV show like Tatum Verbatim, and then have my Oscar talk to me and go, what the fuck are you thinking? You fucking go in there and you have no fucking confidence. And look at me. You think everybody has one of me? And have this sort of have a really raunchy talking Oscar. I love that idea.
Just call it raunchy talking Oscar.
And have Don Rickles' voice, I love
it.
Yeah. And I'm doing a lot of voiceovers too, by the way. So, I just look at it in the long haul. Yeah. I mean, it's everybody's loss if they don't hire me.
Exactly. And speaking of everyone's loss, Gary Marshall had a loss. Is it true you went up for Pretty Woman?
I sure did. How do you know that?
I know everything.
How do you know that?
That's amazing.
But I was 16. I was the wrong age. But I totally thought I'd be good for that.
I did too.
But how do you know that?
I don't know.
No, Sue sent me in for Urban Cowboy when I was 16.
The John Travolta part?
Yes.
The Deborah Winger part?
Deborah Winger. That's funny.
So, are you political? Do you get political? Yeah. What are your thoughts?
So, I wasn't ever political. And
when did it happen for you?
When he got elected.
Wow.
Yeah. But I want to know how a guy that I knew from New York.
So you knew Trump?
Sure. I had been on his private helicopter with John a couple of times to go to Atlantic City, met him different places.
Was he ever inappropriate to you?
No, he was never inappropriate to me. How have we gotten to the point where we're saying things that we haven't said since the 20s and 30s? How have we become a country where we are so bigoted against people of color? Did a black presidency cause so much resentment in white America that we are now seeing the results of that?
He opened the doors for people who have already been thinking this their whole lives to be able to say it without guilt.
Right.
You know?
And to even be public.
Yeah.
Whereas in the 30s and people were in the Klan, they wore hats and they didn't want to be seen. Now you've got people who are you can see who they are. They are absolutely out in public. And, there wasn't both sides. They were saying blood and soil. And it was absolutely a call that the Nazis used to say. And the gay assault hasn't started yet, but it's about to.
What do you mean by that?
I mean that the administration knows that there will be such a backlash that they've been quietly undoing. Well, Betsy DeVos did that about taking care of people in school. There was just that thing on the gay Cape guy in Portland.
Yes, yeah.
They awarded him the thing. He's allowed to discriminate. The military ban on transgenders. If Donald Trump starts to, taking away rights and stuff, I think you're going to see a lot of uprising, and it's going to be a good thing. And I think that we can't keep going backwards. We've got to keep moving forwards.
And speaking of, and I'm only asking you this because you actually have stated this yourself, but if you do a Google search on you, some of the last things that you made headlines for was your own sexuality. I mean, you said you were dating women.
That's right. That's right. It was that Rosie O'Donnell thing that I cannot get off my Google no matter what.
You know,
I cannot get it off my Google. She is a super cool person. She's really, really smart. She's been really, really affected by this presidency, and I wish her the best. We're friends. You know, I would say that I'm bi, and right now I'm seeing a man, but that's where I'm at.
All right, we've come to the end of the show, which is either or. It's very simple. Doorbell or a door knocker?
Doorbell.
Popcorn or potato chips?
Potato chips.
Beat it or Thriller?
Beat it.
Gas stove or electric stove?
Gas.
Deep dish or thin crust?
Thin crust.
Beverly Hills Hotel or Chateau Marmont?
It's a hard one. For what?
You tell me. All right, let's go with...
Beverly Hills Hotel.
Okay. Cheryl Ladd or Jacqueline Smith?
Jacqueline Smith.
Paris or Venice?
Paris.
Photographs or paintings?
Paintings.
Carpet or hardwood?
Hardwood.
Actress Cher or singer Cher?
Singer Cher.
Tie-dye or animal print?
Animal.
Ballet or opera?
Ballet.
Flowers or plants?
Flowers.
Beach sunrise or beach sunset?
Beach sunset.
Aunt or aunt?
Aunt.
Really? I'm gonna take me for an aunt. Mary Poppins or Sound of Music?
Sound of Music.
Joan Crawford or Betty Davis?
Joan Crawford.
Dinner parties or game nights?
Dinner parties.
Central Park or Malibu?
Central Park.
Romantic comedies or thrillers?
Thrillers.
Golden Girls or Sex and the City?
Sex and the City.
You taking me to dinner with Angelica Houston or you taking me to dinner with Cher?
Which one can I pull off? I probably could pull off Angelica and Cher.
Martha Stewart or Snoop Dogg?
Snoop.
Barbara Walters or Larry King?
Probably.
Las Vegas or New Orleans?
New Orleans.
Last but not least, Stevie Nicks or Stevie Wonder?
Stevie Nicks. But I love Stevie Wonder too.
You passed.
I did.
You passed Stevie Nicks. I cannot thank you enough.
I met her. She was so amazing.
Tell me.
She just was really cool. And she had a, nobody talks about her
when
thing.
Is this?
This was during John. She went through a terrible drug stuff. But for some reason, mine is so like a big badge on the freaking sleeve.
I think that has something to do with her being a rock star, you think? You think that musicians get away with it more than...
I don't know.
I just feel like they get away with it. I feel like they get away with it.
I feel like, rock stars can get away with a lot. Yeah. But, so I'm glad I passed.
You did pass. And thank you so
You're
much.
welcome.
You are welcome here anytime.
Thanks.
Anytime.
I'll just move in.
Please do. Please do. I'm not as fun as Cher, but, we'll have a lot of fun.
Okay.
And I'm going to make a prediction right now. I think you're going to be the youngest Academy Award winner.
And the oldest.
Oh,
God.
I mean it. You watch.
I don't want to be the oldest.
You're going to be. Sorry. You're going to have a huge career ahead of you. You don't even realize. I think the tables are going to turn so much, Tatum.
Well,
I'm serious.
People do say that to me. So, I think the thing about acting is if you don't have to give up, because if you look, sometimes you'll see like a performance, you'll go, oh my God, I can't believe he's still working. Where was he? And he wasn't getting work, or she. And suddenly, they do this great performance and there they are. So, it's a career where you don't have to quit and you can keep going. Although it can sort of, the amount of no's you get can wear on you. But I've got a pretty big spirit, so.
Wow, I can't wait to see where that big spirit goes. Thank you guys so much for watching. And
thank you. Watch Justin. The best. I'll be back.
And I'm going to make you sign all these.
Oh, okay.
Thank you guys so much.
Thanks. Keep watching.